The Vision to Action Symposium series on sustainability in the built environment is an ongoing series of regional conferences that facilitate provocative, strategic conversations around bold, visionary initiatives gaining momentum in specific regions of the Pacific Northwest.
The following presentations are from the March 5th, 2015 Vision to Action Symposium at the University of Washington, Tacoma. The topic was Adapting to Low-Impact Development, the New World of Stormwater Management. In this video, Art Castle, Executive Vice President of the Building Industry Association of Washington, gives our keynote address describing more than 10 years of leadership on low-impact development, beginning with a stormwater retrofit of the Kitsap Home Builders Association office in Bremerton, Washington. Mr. Castle addresses the value of collaboration involving a wide range of stakeholders for making LID the preferred tool of choice among the building industry. The BIAW is the voice of the housing industry in the state of Washington, representing more than 8,000 member companies. Vision to Action is powered by Common Agenda, driving collective impact solutions to some of our greatest sustainability challenges. To see the other 8 videos in this series, visit www.visiontoaction.us.
Thank you all. Actually, it's not 20 years, but I will say that when I did this in October in Olympia, I realized that day when I was standing there, I was working 10 years prior with the consultant drafting our first grant application for relative to low-impact development for the Kitsap Home Builders Foundation. Well, stormwater has changed, and I think a lot of it's for the good. Whether we agree with how it was done, it's here to stay, and we need to make it work, but there's a lot of good things about it. I'm going to do a little bit about my background, some of the projects we've done, then get into some of the reasons why, different parts of it. But low-impact development is an alternative way of dealing with stormwater, as we all know. I know when we were at the Kitsap Home Builders Association, we actually co-sponsored one of Curtis Hinman's workshops in 2001. And one of the things that sort of got us into it, although we'd done Built Green and some other things, and we had actually had some ideas of moving that direction, is that I actually had a couple of members trying to do a commercial project and wanted to implement low-impact development. And at that time, it was exceptions in the county code. And each piece was an exception. And those of you who are engineers know how much fun and how expensive exceptions are in the code to get them approved. So eventually we applied for and received a Section 319 grant from the Department of Ecology. We had partners with the county and all the cities, tribes, and others. It was designed to enable developers, builders, homeowners to have an option of using low-impact development and get the techniques within the code so that there was a standard of how we could use them. And it was also the opportunity to reduce development costs and reduce the size of traditional detention ponds and provide additional lots. And as I said, some are partners with the cities, the health districts, Squamish tribes, Citizens Responsible Planning, and it was sort of a continuation with our industry-leading market-based environmental solution with the Built Green program, which we had launched in 1997. Along the way, we actually used the old first manual that Curtis Hinman came out, low-impact manual for Western Washington, and implemented onto the 92 manual, using the calculation within that manual of how to calculate for flow volume. And so I think we were probably, county and some of the cities in Kitsap were the only ones that ever implemented low-impact development with the 92 manual. But it gave us another opportunity to go through that process, to educate, train, and get adopted. And some of the products we had a variety of education, a lot of tools on the thing, and as we got through the process, some of the engineers saying, well, gosh, this is really good, but now how do we do it? And that's where I learned the importance of technical education, and I'll come back to that a couple of times in this, because the technical knowledge is crucial. Once you get enough technical knowledge, you can creatively apply it on the site. But before that, until you get to that point, and I know this from my own experience, that's the key, is that getting enough knowledge so that you understand how the different tools work and how they integrate together on a site. And this other thing we have over here, let's see, back over here. This was actually something we did for the grant. This was the project based in 2009 of the projects that had already implemented low-impact development in Kitsap County. Our 2 main tools we did, we actually created our own manual in Kitsap County, and there's a copy of the list. And ironically, it was approved by the county in all 4 cities without edits. And this is from a Home Builder Association foundation process, which included all the stakeholders. And I think that was a pretty good thing of how we were able to collaborate without the whole community. And we actually made low-impact development the tools of choice for the development community because of the education and the involvement of the Home Builder Association. And the little thing you see here on the left, a spreadsheet modeling tool for small projects. You can actually put in the numbers in there, and when it says down at the bottom, it passed, you've now complied with all the modeling, and you can actually use that for all the different, all the cities in the county for compliance for your stormwater. So we also, along the way, applied for a grant with what was then the Puget Sound Action Team, and actually I have my grant manager here, Mr. Bruce Wilkin, and we actually took the Home Builder Association site and retrofitted it, everything outside the building footprint, to be a demonstration for a wide variety of the products. Let's just talk about the process. And before and after, the building didn't look any different, but the site did. And we excavated, as I said, everything outside the building footprint, put several types of pervious pavement in, a large bioretention center, amended the soils, native vegetation, built a shed with a vegetated roof. The city of Bremerton was widening the Auto Center Way, which is adjacent to our property at the time, and they were putting adding some sidewalks, so they made their sidewalks pervious to match our project. That's what you see here. We put pervious asphalt, pervious concrete, and several types of porous paver blocks all in the project. They sort of look nice, a little nicer than I thought they would be when you're starting mixing so many types of things. But it gave a demonstration of a number of the different type of products that you can use. This planting the native vegetation, and let's see if this will happen. See, will this work? And this was what happening. This is on the sidewalk on the right side of the site, and the water's higher than the curb. And then remember, rain started Friday night, and this is Monday morning. This is the end of the process, and you can see how heavy that flow is and running everywhere. And see, the site has an awful lot of runoff on it. Okay? Okay, this is what you're looking at is pervious asphalt, and then parking lot up top is the pervious concrete up here. And then when you look further, still pervious asphalt, and these are all porous paver blocks. And you can see how this site handled 12.5 inches of rain over 48 hours. And this is the large bioretention cell we built, and you can see that it is well above the boundaries, what we intended it for. And this was not engineered, by the way, but we have that. And by the way, that little thing you saw over there is we also did roof drains into a 300-gallon tank, and the overflow goes in the rain garden as a rainwater harvesting example. This is when we came back that afternoon. And now we look at the rain garden, where that was 4 hours later. Much of the water is already infiltrated. Next was Tuesday morning, 24 hours after the first video. There's essentially almost no standing water, working as advertised. And I was actually accused by some engineers for scheduling the rain so I could video it, because they thought it was pretty amazing. Here's your bioretention cell 24 hours later from the first part of the video. And one of the things that's just a demonstration of how effective that works, because this site on the refit project was designed as a demonstration. It was not engineered. But we still did things there that really worked well. Then one of the next things I did, in 2011, I started working for the Building Industry Association of Washington. In 2012, we helped get them the money to develop the technical training, which is ongoing now. By the way, it's free for 2 more years, folks. Take advantage of it. After that, it's going to be market-based. You'll have to pay for it. I encourage each of you, if you're not engaged in your local government process, get engaged. Because if you don't be engaged in the process of adopting, you may not like how it's going to work. Take your technical expertise and help the jurisdictions get it so that it works well. I know Dan talked a lot about this, but there are minimum requirements. We know we deal with stormwater during construction phase. We need to deal with the source of pollution. We need to preserve natural drainage systems, deal with the treatment, and deal with the flow control and dealing with protecting wetlands. And protect low-impact development BMPs from sediment and compaction during construction, and infiltrate, disperse, and retain runoff site to the extent feasible. Water quality treatment for pollution-generating areas, and control peaks and flows. And this just has a chart talking about the difference between do you go prescriptive or performance. And I'm a bigger fan of performance because I think the engineers can do it. The feasibility analysis may have an inverse thing of helping engineers and other people find ways of proving that it's non-feasible rather than getting excited about how they can make it work. And I think that's a little disincentive that was built in the regulations personally. So now this is the feasibility. Every site is not good for low-impact development for a variety of reasons. Low-impact development and use is very site-specific. You can use a lot of the techniques, but especially the infiltration techniques can be limited, and the permit requires feasibility and feasibility criteria, and they're included, and they're by BMP, but they include things like the infiltration rate of soils, the depth of your water table, the soil suitability, slopes, and things like that. It's how they're going to be effective. And this is what you are going to have to be used, both the regulator and the regulated community, of dealing with stormwater design. Now I want to talk a little bit science and how low-impact development works. And the biological pollutant removal in the plants and soils is very effective. In fact, I put a little handout out here where Dr. McIntyre with NOAA and also with WSU Extension has just published her study where they've actually took the stormwater runoff off of some Seattle bridges, and they diluted it and put it in with small fish and the insects that they need to survive, and all of them died. They then went through bioretention soil columns, and that by itself, without even the vegetation, removed pollutants so that they all lived and thrived, both the fish and the insects. It's very, very effective at naturally treating, dealing with the pollutants control. That's pretty exciting. Because what are really the big three things we're concerned about with runoff? One, it's carrying a lot of pollutants which have negative effect of the fish and the insects and other things. Secondly, if it goes into the stream, it's the wrong temperature for the insects and the fish. And third, that we get peak vents which cause erosion of the stream corridor. Low impact development shows how effective the pollutant removal is in bioretention. This is pervious pavement. Ecology has not accepted pervious pavement as an enhanced water quality treatment facility, but I suspect with the information that's coming out with Dr. Henman's or Curtis Henman's research at WSU Extension, that could be around the corner because it's proving again with all the other research that's out there that it's a very effective means of naturally treating the pollutants of concern, and this just shows different pollutants and how effective that is. And this is from Europe where they actually tested the column of the pervious pavement and the soil looking at dissolved metals, and what it showed by the time that you got back to the soil layer, they were back to natural concentrations that are in the soil already. That's how effective these can be. The other side is that bioretention infiltration techniques allow the water that seeps back into the stream or the waterway to be the right temperature. So it's no longer scouring, it's seeping, it's the right temperature, and it's clean. You're remimicking the pre-development hydrologic conditions of the site. So why low impact development? We've probably all seen the charts where you say that as we get more impervious surface, we reduce the amount of infiltration and evaporation, and we have a lot more runoff. But low impact development is simply to make a developed environment like this function like it did in the pre-development environment. This is actually the aerial shot of the Seattle C Street, one of the first Seattle Public Utilities projects, and before and after. And this is now, 12, 14 years old, I believe. And in excess of 98% of the water that used to run off those sites no longer runs off the site. And they reduced the impervious surface and put a series of bioretention cells along that city street. And essentially, it's conventional versus low-impact development. Conventional still into the pipe. It deals with peak discharges, very limited on small storms, and it's sort of 60s technologies. Remember, we ask our engineers to take care of stormwater. Why? Because it was flooded, and we treated that as a waste product. We want to get it away from us as quickly as possible. Low impact development is a source control. It can mimic pre-development hydraulic conditions, full control of small storms, and it also prevents pollution. And this is a project from Maryland that showed that by incorporating low-impact development rather than traditional stormwater, reduced development cost on lots by about $5,000 a lot and actually allowed another 7 lots to be created. It can become very cost-effective, and actually, when you're looking at the whole scale of development, can make economic sense. This is another project that EPA did, and you can see on the right-hand column the effectiveness and reducing development cost of low-impact development when it's understood and done well. The Kensington estate had some other issues and that need to be dealt with separately. This is something, it's called a rain garden modeling. This was actually out of Dr. Curtis Henman's rain garden handbook for citizens, and most of you have probably seen that. But this was actually engineering, so think of this as a bioretention cell. And when I first showed this, it sort of really caught the engineer's eye. Because what this shows, that if you have bad soils on your site, if you do a bioretention cell or a rain garden that is 20% the area of your roof, you'll catch about 95% of all the rain that falls on your site in a year. And if you have good soils, one that's 10% of the area of your roof area will handle 100% of all the rain that falls on that roof in a year. That's pretty effective volume control. So what is low impact development? Here's the paradigm. Today, we collect, we concentrate, we convey, and we put it in prison. Okay? And you notice the concertina on the top because we don't want it to escape. Okay? Stormwater is a bad thing. This is a site with traditional stormwater. The size of the arrows is the volume of flow. Go to traditional detention pond, then when it reaches that point, it outflows. This is that same site using a series of bioretention on small controls, and you see that there's the flow's different, and you treat as close to where the rain falls as possible. So here's some examples. This is a cross-section of bioretention. But here's one of my favorite techniques, and most folks don't know about it. It's a tree credit. If you retain trees or plant them, if you retain them, if you have evergreens, you can take 20% of the canopy area and deduct that from the amount of impervious surface you have to mitigate. Now, you're limited to 25% of the project, and it has to be within 20 feet of ground level impervious surface. And there's a difference between evergreen deciduous, and if you plant new trees, you got a 50 square foot for evergreen, 20 square feet for deciduous. You can, in many projects or most projects, you can mitigate 25% of the volume you're going to be dealing with before you get started. Bioretention, this is a picture of a cell. This actually is functional landscaping up top, but that's actually bioretention, dealing with your stormwater. This is one of the Seattle C Street bioretention cells. You can put them in all kinds of design things, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. This is actually 2 bioretention cells in an apartment complex in Portland that deals with all the roof runoff. And now porous pavement. Porous pavement is some interesting and fun stuff. It really, really works. This is actually a city street in the city of Bremerton that put pervious pavement on city streets. Pervious concrete, porous paver blocks, reducing pervious surface, amending soils, rainwater collection. This is off of one of the islands. You can do it in your home. If you can do the water budget, determine how much rain is going to hit your roof over the year based on the modeling and how you're going to use it through the year, and if you use all the water you're going to collect, your roof is then treated as if it was landscaping instead of impervious surface. It's a stormwater mitigation strategy. There's minimum excavation foundations, vegetated roofs, surface dispersion, and those are your primary techniques. And it's how you blend them into your project is how you're going to be able to manage your stormwater. And the question I have for you is, what are each of your cities and counties' timelines for updating? You've seen what Pierce and Tacoma is. Think of what your smaller cities are. What is their plan for reviewing the development-related ordinances relating to low-impact development, and how can you become involved? Because you need to take your expertise and help them implement this so that it's going to work. And if you don't find the solutions, you'll have to live with the outcome of it. As I said, it's time to be engaged, and I encourage you to encourage your local jurisdiction to consider some incentives. There's some up on the website. I put a few copies out here on the other thing, just some unranked ideas that you can think about or talk about among your own jurisdiction. Every jurisdiction is going to have their own interest, and so look at that. Be flexible. Find things that are actually going to work. Here's a couple of questions. Should low-impact development be in the right-of-way or private property? I'm a big fan of having it in public right-of-way because the jurisdiction on the MPDS who has the permit, the MPDS permit, is going to have to inspect that annually. Who should be responsible for that maintenance? Should it be a homeowners association, the individual property owner, or the jurisdiction? That's a question you're going to have to answer in each jurisdiction. And for instance, here's another one. What should be the traffic volume before you say, well, we think that volume is high enough that we no longer want pervious pavement for that volume of road, and that capacity of road? When you're integrating low-impact development in the codes, which is something you heard folks talk about early this morning, think about when you're landscaping. Why not looking at bioretention and rain gardens? Why shouldn't they serve the same purpose? Vegetated buffer, same thing plus the tree credit. You have a tree ordinance. Why aren't you how are you relating that to the tree credit? Sidewalk and bike paths. Why not have them pervious? Parking lot areas, integrate low-impact development, and on a parking lot especially, not all of it has to be pervious. You can have portions that are impervious and portions that are pervious, because when you have the aggregate bed underneath, you still have that full surface area of infiltrating. So it will work that way. Be creative on what your design and how you're going to allow those designs to be done, and allow those mixed type of pervious pavement being involved in the projects. There's some stuff here, and I hope some people will talk about it later. WSU Extension has this with Department of Ecology technical training. It's now being run. This is the website down below, and these are the technical classes they're setting up, and they're ongoing. And I encourage you, because right now they're free. In a couple of years, they won't be. They'll be market-based then. This is some of the best technical knowledge, and I talked earlier the importance of technical knowledge, because the first questions the engineers gave me when I first started helping this process when we were going on Kitsap was, okay, it's a good idea. And the first question I said, well, Art, you have pervious pavement, you have this aggregate down here, and we're not compacting it like we do regular roads. How do you design that for a 70,000-pound axle weight? And I don't know. Guess what? There's answers. You need to understand the technical, and step by step get those technical knowledge, and the broader you get the technical knowledge, the sooner you'll be able to creatively apply the solutions. And with that, there's a little bit of extra information out on the table over there, some flyers if you'd like to have them. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.